All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going through a series of payroll programs, kind of an iterative series as I'm building onto each time, and so far I've gone through about 5 examples. I've done a simple payroll program where I hard-coded in the values, and that was the work for Chapter 1. For Chapter 2, I went back to that program and set it up so that you could either use the scanner object or an input message dialog for the output, and message dialog for the output and an input dialog for the input. And then in Chapter 3, I did 2 more programs. The first one was doing an if statement. So when I figured out the gross pay, I added constants for maximum non-overtime hours of 40 and an overtime rate of 1.5. Then finally, in the last lecture, or video, I went and not only did I do that, but I also went in and I started to add some validation to what I was working on. So what I have now is I want to come in here and begin. This is what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to do a 4A and a 4B. So I'm going to create a new project. You know the drill. Next. Next. Our path will be right here. Finish. Bring this down, right mouse click on source, new Java class, edu.rankin.jpscott.payroll with a big P. There that is. I'm going to get rid of everything and I'm going to bring back in this, which is what I had been working on last time, and I'm just going to paste it in. All right. But what I'm going to add this time is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add, you'll notice in here I've got first name, and then I tell you to enter your first name and I do the trim. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say here, trying to figure out the best way to do this, and I'm wondering if I should try doing a do while in here. So do, oops, while fn, while not fn dot equals. So in English, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to say come in here, and since it's a do while loop, you'll always go through the loop at least one time. So it'll come in here and it'll say please enter your first name. And then it'll trim whatever you've entered. So it'll remove any leading spaces or trailing spaces. All right? And while that equals the empty string, do it again. I think that's exactly what I want to do. All right? Let's test it. So, File, Save All, Run, Run. Payroll. I'm going to leave it blank, and it should come back and just tell me to please enter the first name again, and it does. Fantastic. Yeah, I purposely let it blow up, so don't worry about that. All right. Okay, so I want to basically do this. I'm going to have to make a couple superficial changes here. So this will have to be MN for the middle name. And then finally, this will have to be LN for the last name. But the good news is, by doing that, I now have 3 of my, 8 fields? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3 of my 9 fields have now undergone validation. All right? So, let's start adding some comments in here. Program driver. All right? Input first name cannot be blank. Input middle name cannot be blank. And finally, input last name cannot be blank. All right, so I've got all those done. So I've got, let's see, first, that should be middle, and that should be last. Okay, so now I'm up to the age, and I said I had a minimum age of 18 and a maximum age of 130. So, we're telling you to enter your age in here, etc., etc. I'm going to come in and say, while age is less than the minimum, while A is less than the minimum age, or A is greater than the maximum age. So while you put in something that's out of range, we're just going to ask you to do it again. Now I'm going to have to make a couple changes in here. Don't worry about it. That should just say A. There. I probably should put some messages in here, so this is fine. Please enter first name. I can say cannot be blank. I could say that. Here, please enter your age. It would be kind of nice. How about this? Please enter age. Between min age and max age. So I'm telling the user that they should enter an age that falls between 18 and 130. Really, I think I can just do this, pretty this up a bit. That's going to look much nicer. All right. Let's check that out and make sure that I didn't break anything. Always a good idea to do. So, if I leave that blank, it just tells me to do it again. If I leave that blank, it just tells me to do it again. If I leave that blank, it tells me to do it again. If I put in an age that's less than 18, it tells me to do it again. I put in an age that's greater than 130. Why did it take that? Wasn't max age. What was max age? 130. Number format exception, value out of range. We're going to handle that later, okay? We are going to handle that. Value out of range. Oh, and the reason that that is out of range is because that is bigger than the allowable value for a byte. This, let's make this 127. Okay? All right. And let's clean this and run it again. In fact, I don't even have to run it again, but that's fine. Now, if I put in a value that's more than 127, all right, it's going to break. So I'm just going to put in 127 there. All right, so that all worked. All right, I'm going to change this to 125. There. So now I could test it and put in 127, for example. Okay, and it should fail then. All right, I'm not worried about that right now. So I've got 4 of my fields done. This one, there's not really very much I can do right here. I can check for true or false, but I'm not even going to do that. All right. This is employee number. I could give it a range, but I really don't feel like doing that either. But this, I can come in and do this. All right, so I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to tweak this so that I'm able to come in here and do this. All right. Please enter so this now says please enter hours worked between, and this will change to min hours and max hours. Okay, and don't need this anymore. It'll be cleaned up in just a minute here. I don't need that either. I do need this. And that's HW, and that's HW, and that's HW. In fact, I want to just grab this. All right. So this should be this. hoping I'm done here. So we'll check that out. So File, Save All, Run Payroll. I am missing a curly brace. I'm sorry, a parenthesis. Run Payroll. All right, Jeff, Paul, Scott. Now I should be able to say 126. Good, it holds it. All right, 61. False. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to put it in. Please enter hours worked between 0 and 84. -3. Doesn't take it. 84.1. Doesn't take it. 40. All right, now the rest of the stuff is in here. That's fine. All right, so that's all finished. Now I can come in here and make some minor changes here. So this is going to come into please enter hourly rate between min rate and max rate. All right, so what I have done here is I have been doing form validation. All right, so let's see. Input age must be between 18 and 125. All right, input union status. There really wasn't. All right, this was input employee number. And this was input hours worked. I'm sorry, that's got to be hours worked. Must be between 0.0 and 84.0. And this was input hourly rate. And that has to be between 0.0. I guess I figured that somebody could possibly be a volunteer. And max rate is 100. So okay. Calculate gross pay, include OT if as necessary. And display all inputted values and the gross pay. Okay. Why don't we just change this instead of pat so I get rid of those errors. Make that pattern and make that pattern. Which will have to make that pattern and pattern and pattern. Whoops, there's a mistake. Looking through here for anything I might have done incorrectly. Again, when I get these, I'm only getting these because that isn't in their dictionary. All right, there aren't any errors in those. So what I have done now in this particular example is I have come in here and I have done validation. I have added validation. All right, main is still a driver. It's still calling all the routines, but I'm checking to make sure if the first name is blank, we keep you in a loop until you put something in there. Now, I could check it for alphabetic, etc. I thought that was a little bit of overkill, so I didn't. Same thing with middle name, same thing with last name. All right, the age, we did put confines in there, so where I had a do while for the first name, middle name, and last name, I've got a while loop for the well, that's not right. Input last name must be between 18 and 125. That should be input age. All right. So we are checking with a while loop to say that if the age is less than 18 or greater than 125, we keep you in there and we ask you to do it again. All right. Union status, I'm not doing any validation. I'm just assuming they can type in true or false. The employee number, same thing. I'm assuming they can type in a number. And hours worked. What is it? What do we have here? We are assuming that the hours worked is between 0 and 84. We are assuming that the hourly rate is between 0 and 100. And we are calculating the gross pay, and as it says, do that if necessary. Now you'll notice I've got this here. All right? And it's telling me that if I want to, I can come in, and I think I've got this saved in one of the other versions of this that I've got floating around here someplace. But I don't know where it is. So I'm going to look. There we go. This is called a Java doc comment. So I'm going to add this here. All right, and I'm going to say I've got a parameter here that's HW, and it stands for employee hours worked. And I've got another parameter here that says HR, and that's employee hourly rate. These don't make any sense because they don't exist. So there we go. So those are the parameters that we've passed in. All right, those are called Java doc comments. I'm not going to go through them any more than that right now. Let's see, do we have anything else here? Trying to see if I put any additional kinds of comments in there. No, that'll do for right now. At least you've seen it. All right, someplace in my multitude of junk, I've got a really good definition, etc., on how to use Java.comments, and I'll have to try to remember to find that. So I'm done with this. Going back, because I don't want to waste too much time here. All right. I don't have any nested loops. I don't have any break or continue. But I think I'm going to try to come up with a break or continue for the next one. And I am going to add file input and output to the next one. All right, so I'll add that. I'll be back with that very shortly.